So, Greg, thank you for joining us on this special podcast. I really appreciate that you reached out and wanted to come on this podcast. As always, my first question, and I'm straight into it, is where are you on that life journey of yours?
I'd say I'm kind of on the downward slope a little bit there. This is my third rendition of life, third or fourth. I've gone through a few other things and done a few other things in the past. So I think this will be the last thing I'll do as far as the life journey and business wise.
Interesting. Interesting. Can we explore a little bit more of that? Because I'm interested in why you feel it's like the downward. Why.
But yeah, I don't know if it's a downward journey as far as first rendition of life. I was a
Okay, yeah.
restaurant manager.
Hold on, Greg. Don't go
Okay,
there. Don't go there. We're
okay.
we're gonna explore that. I just want to explore where you're standing now and how you see life at this present moment.
Life, Stefan, at this present moment is absolutely wonderful. I've got a nice balance of working my company that I'm working right now, my own business, working that, and a nice balance between that and enjoying life on the outside, which I go outside quite a bit on there. So that balance is just about perfect. Sometimes I do a little bit more work in my business, and sometimes I do a little less work in my business. And I go outside and take care of the gardens and the fruit and berry patches. Probably a little bit more sometimes than I actually build my business.
Beautiful. And I want to explore that more, but because there's a lot of people that are watching and a lot of people that I've been in contact with that find it hard to, even though they're in their senior years, they find it hard to have that balance. That they seem to be like having an addiction to just working, and they don't know when to stop. And and they and to the outside world, you think, wow, you've got an amazing life. You've got this incredible business, and you've got the money, you've got the land, you've got the houses, but you don't seem to be spending much time on what you've worked for, that you're always tied into the business. So leave it there, because we come back to that. Let's go back in time. When you look at your journey, and you said you've been in three phases. So what would you what was that first phase like?
Phase was right in high school and then out of high school, where I worked in the restaurant industry
Why?
for about
Why
15
did
years.
why did you go
Yeah.
into the restaurant industry?
It was back when I was in high school. It was just the thing most of us did was we got a job somewhere, and at 16, it was fast food was the easiest job to get and the
Did you
easiest job to
need
learn. Yeah.
did sorry to interrupt, but did you need to how was your experience at school? Was it something you enjoyed, or you just wanted to literally get out as quickly as possible?
I thoroughly enjoyed school. Like learning. It was a lot of fun. Never had a bad experience in school whatsoever. But at some point in time, we just like having some things, particularly a vehicle, when we were 16. So in order to get a vehicle, mom and dad said, "Well, you're going to get a vehicle, get a job." Okay,
Okay, so there wasn't any thought about going to college or university. It was literally, I want a vehicle, I want the money, let me get a job.
exactly. Never thought about going to college or anything like that when I was 16. I was doing great in school, all good grades, all across the board. Everything was wonderful. I could probably pick anything I wanted to do. But what I wanted to do was get a car. So I got a job.
And you worked in that industry, so you went for the easiest job that you could find that would give you the initial return on getting the money to get the job, to get the car, and then you stayed in that industry for 15 years.
Correct. I sure did. Worked up my way, and was Taco Bell was my first job. So like that's where I first learned about franchising. As a matter of fact, because I worked for a master franchisor who had 50 Taco Bells throughout the Sacramento, California area, and I moved up in the Taco Bell world and helped her run her restaurants and
Oh
build up
wow.
her team. Yeah,
Okay,
so that
so
was interesting.
So what happened after 15 years? We come back to the whole franchise bit because I know that's what you want to talk about. But why did you change? Why did you feel okay? 15 years, it's my time to move on.
It's an interesting number. So Taco Bell, and then I moved up from there into Lyons Restaurant, which is like an upscale Denny's restaurant. So that was 15 years total. I got bored, needed some,
Ah,
needed something
okay.
else to do, and restaurant management's a lot of work and it's a lot of hours.
Oh, I can believe it. I don't, I don't envy anyone that works in that kind of industry.
Great when you're young, but as you get a little bit older, something else. So I said, okay, time to learn a trade. So at that point in time, after 15 years, I went demoted myself down to waiter after being a manager for a number of years, and said, let's go to college. So I went to college and got a degree in electrical engineering and physics.
Okay, hold on, hold on. What was going on in your head to literally go, you know what? I am gonna go down on pay grade. I'm gonna study electrical engineering. What was going on in your mind? What was, or did you have it now you had more of an idea of what you wanted to do in the future?
A couple things, more of an idea of what I wanted. Well, not quite an idea, it's a little bit more of an idea of what I do in the future. I know I didn't want to do restaurant management, like we just mentioned before. A lot of hours, pay is okay, but it was time to move on. So it was doctor, lawyer, or engineer. I figured those are some of the higher paying things. So I do one of those.
Okay, so it was the head again, because I always talk about the head and the heart, and I can hear the head always showing up. It's the head that wanted the car. It's the head that got you all the way up in 15 years of Taco Bell. It was the head that got bored. It was the head that decided, okay, you know what? There's these three options. It's the lawyer, it's the doctor, or it's the engineer. You know, they're the highest paid jobs around. Let's go for the engineer. And because you were academically clever, it wasn't an issue for you. You carried on with the head.
I did. So doctor, I can't stand the sight of blood. Uh, lawyer, too much writing and too much paperwork wasn't my best suit. Engineer, I was a whiz at math, easiest thing. So I said,
Uh,
that's the one.
okay. And then what?
Oh, and then so I got a job at, so I went to college, got a degree there, and then got a job at Motorola Semiconductor, and I became a microelectronic circuit engineer for the manufacturing plant, if I can say that, in Austin, Texas. From there, or while I was doing that, I got my MBA degree.
Why? Why did you do an MBA? Well, sorry to interrupt because I've got to ask these questions. Why? Why an MBA? Why not be happy with what you're doing? Why did you feel that it was necessary to get the MBA?
I'm always trying to move up, take a step up. So I thought I'd
Okay.
get an MBA, I could find a different job, better job, and get paid more.
Okay.
Whatever my time is worth. I only got so much time on the planet, so
Yeah.
got to got to utilize it the best I can. So I'll get an MBA, and then I'll get paid more. So I got an
Okay.
MBA.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let me stop you as well. Is there anything else happening in your life? Have you met anyone? Yeah, you've got family or anything like that?
Yeah. So when I was at the Lions restaurant that I worked at in Sacramento, California, then I met my then was going to be my future wife, who I've been with now for 34 years.
And
So
how was she with you going on this journey of yours? Was she okay?
she was just yeah, she was just fine. She was in the Army, actually, in the Army National Guard.
Okay, okay. So, and what kind of attracted you to each other? Just I'm just listening to the heart now. I just want to hear, the head's been showing up, and this is where I'm going, and this is what I'm going to do, and now we're listening to the heart. What was it? What connected you to?
Probably that beautiful green oversized uniform she wore. I don't know. She had a great personality. So we were waiting on the National Guard at that time. National Guard got called up because of the issues with the riots down in L.A. With Rodney King and all that. So she came into our restaurant to eat. And she was eating there, and I was waiting on her on a regular basis.
Ah, very good.
So we just hit it
Okay.
off. Natural
Yeah.
connection.
Okay. Very good. MBA. Let's go back to the head, MBA.
Yep. So I got the MBA and then started looking around to move up in Motorola Semiconductor and Freescale Semiconductor later on. And I found that the people with the MBAs and doing the business stuff weren't being paid as much as the engineer. So didn't use the MBA necessarily in the job itself, but that's when I started exploring. I also read Robert Kiyosaki's book Rich Dad Poor Dad and
Oh,
realized
hold
that
on,
there's
hold on. How did you get how did that come into your line of sight in your vision?
reading the MBA, we read a lot of books and did a lot of different things on business. So
Oh, okay,
that was
so
one I suggested reading. Yeah,
that was one of the books that stood out for you.
it did because then I realized that this job thing was not necessarily the path that I wanted to take. So I
And
got
again,
yeah.
and
Go
and again, still focus on more money, more money, more money.
ahead. More money as far as I've only got so much time to put
Yeah.
in. How can I make the best use out of it?
Okay, very good.
Mhm.
Okay, and
So then I got a couple rental properties from that. He said, you got to do investment things. So invest in things that you can do on the side. So I got a couple rental properties. Then another engineer and myself, we bought a dry cleaners and that had some storage units with it. So while we were doing our engineering thing, we ran that on the side. So just building up, making better use of my time, building up the income.
and how was that? How was that journey in regards to now you're doing something on the side? How how was that for you with regards to you showing up in a normal job
Mhm.
and then you're exploring other avenues for building up wealth, revenue, etc. And you're married and you're trying to, you're keeping a relationship as well. How was that for you?
Uh, that was challenging. There was a lot of things involved, especially when the dry cleaners wasn't a franchise. It was just a private business, and we didn't. Neither one of us knew anything about dry cleaning, so we had to learn that ourselves on the side. So that was interesting. That was very interesting getting that built up. And then my wife she was working in the army pretty much full time, so we both come home about the same time every day. About 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock. So
And when
spend time. Mhm.
sorry to interrupt, but as you said, it was interesting times. How was it having a partnership as well and figuring out a business that you both weren't savvy to? How did you kind of work it all out?
We divided up the roles. Who was going to do what? So the dry cleaner itself, it had a main area, our main location where it did all the work and the cleaning, and then it had 4 satellite locations, and I ran the satellite locations along with the storage units that we had at one of the locations. So we just split that up. So we each knew what our duties were. So it worked out really good.
Nice. And how long were you running these businesses, or are you still
We did
running
that
these
one
businesses?
a little over a year or so,
Okay.
a year, maybe 2 years for the dry cleaners and the real estate.
And what made you decide to move on from there?
I got laid off. The business said the Freescale Semiconductor laid us both off at the same time on
Oh,
that, which was a blessing in disguise for that one. So I had had enough of the dry cleaners and the storage units and the real estate by that time. So sold my real estate, sold my half of the business to him. He got laid off at the same time. He said, I'll take it. I love doing this. I said, okay, I don't love doing that. I did like doing that franchise thing in the past. So I'm going to go out and explore that now.
okay. And was there much information about having a franchise?
No, I didn't have any information about having a franchise except for the information that I gathered while I was working at Taco Bell. I'm working for that lady who ran 50 Taco Bells. I liked the fact that it was the same, no matter which location you went into, everything was exactly the same.
Hmm.
All process and procedures there for you. So I said, you know, I don't have the latest, greatest idea. The privately owned business thing was kind of weird. So I'm going to go explore that franchising thing and see what that's all about.
And where did that take you? And what was the first thing that you came across?
So I came across, I went click happy on the internet and came across about 20 different franchises. They were all calling me and telling me that theirs was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But what I did come across, fortunately, was a franchise consultant. No idea they existed at the time. So he put everything in perspective for me, saying, let's take a step back. Let's look at where have you been? So what kind of skill set do you have? What do you bring to the table? Where are you at now? How much time, how much money do you have to invest and are comfortable investing in a franchise? And then where do you want to be 5 to 10 years from now? So with his help, I got into a really great franchise system.
All right, let me stop you there. With this consultant, did you have to pay him for his advice, and how many sessions did you have with him?
I did not have to pay him for his advice. So we as franchise consultants are free. The franchisors pay us a referral fee. And I probably spent about 3 months with him,
Wow.
once a week, once or twice a week for 3 months.
Yeah. And then what was what was the conclusion? What did you choose to do?
I chose to do a Schooley Mitchell telecommunications consulting franchise, which is basically you help large businesses with their telecommunications bills. So think of something like a car dealership, a hospital, things like that that have multiple phone systems, and you find them the same service or better for a reduced price, and then you share in the savings that you create for them.
Wow. Okay. And how much investment, because all these franchises are you have to invest. So how much of your money did you invest in that franchise?
The franchise fee itself was, I think, about $50,000, and then I probably spent another $15,000 to $20,000 on marketing and advertising. So
Okay.
relatively inexpensive. You could work from home and go out and visit with your clients.
Okay. And was there a lot to learn in that initial startup stage?
There sure was, and they had excellent training. The gentleman that ran it, Dennis Schooley, he had just step-by-step instructions, how to approach them, how to get in the door, what to say to them, how to overcome objections, many, many different things. I was never guessing what I had to do next. And then he's got gave me a mentor and a whole team of people to help me out.
Wow. And is that always there, or is there just an initial stage where they're walking beside you, giving you mentorship advice?
Always there. They're always helping you. Usually most franchises will start you out with a mentor, and then until you get to the point where you're comfortable doing it on your own. And then you make friends along the way too. You call a lot of the different franchisees before you invest in the franchise, like what I did. So you have a lot of people in the group that are helping you grow your business as well as the
That's
franchisor.
yeah. And are you still running that franchise?
No, I did that for a couple of years, and I thought to myself, because I was driving around to go visit with my clients. My clients were in Austin, Texas. I lived in Flatonia, Texas, which is about an hour away. My town was a little bit too small, so we didn't have a lot of or any clients to call upon because they're running a big enough phone system. So I'd have an hour drive in. So I said after 2 years, I said, I really like what that franchise consultant was doing because they got to work from home. So better use of my
Hmm.
time utilization. I didn't have to drive so much. So I went back to him and said, I want to be part of your organization. So teach me what you do. I want to do that.
And what he was doing, he was also giving out a franchise of his business. Is that what you're saying?
So how it works is that as a franchise consultant, you can do it independently and you can get contracts with different franchises that if you refer somebody to them and that person then purchases a franchise through them, they'll send you a referral fee. However, there's broker or consultant organizations where they go out and they do the contracts. So now you've got 200 or 300 different franchises that you work with, and the consulting organization already has contracts with each one, and then they have a nice, web listing on their web page, nice way to filter through it so you can pick them out, and then you meet with them on a regular basis as well. So he had quite a few to select from. So then the information he gathers from me, just like I do with my people, is basically, what kind of skill set do you have? What skill set do you like to use on a daily basis? How much time are you looking to invest in it? You want to do it full time? You want to do it part time? What do what are you comfortable investing money wise? And then where do you want to be? Where are you going with that to see if we need one territory, two territories, and so on. So there's a lot of information to gather uh, from our clients and what he gathered from me as well when he was helping me out.
I hear that. But is there a point where someone comes through the door, they want to have their own franchise, but is there certain boxes that they need to tick to be able to get it? Or is it you fill in the form, you sit with them, you ask them the relevant questions, but then do they, when you give the franchise the information about this person that wants to buy into into their franchise, can they say no?
Both of them, yes. It's pretty much just like when I went through with my franchise I looked at, the Scully Mitchell one, is that it's a mutual interview process on
Right.
that. And the franchise wants to make certain that they have the right person there
Hmm.
or their franchise. They don't want you to fail. It's not just a matter of having somebody fail. It's they have what they call their franchise disclosure documents in there. And within there, under item number 20, it'll show the number of franchisees who started the business and are still running it, and the franchisees who started and are no longer running it. So we like to look for 85, 90% success rate or better. So if the franchisors aren't picking the right people, it doesn't look very good
No.
because their failure rate is high. So they're doing an interview just like Dennis did with me. He's doing an interview, and that's what the franchisors do. They're going to interview you to make sure that Stefan's a good fit for that franchise and he won't fail because failing is not good for either one. For us, when we're purchasing, obviously, but for the franchisor as well, it doesn't look good if they have too many failures. So it's a mutual elimination process. And most people will look at two or three, sometimes more franchises and compare and contrast as they're going through the process. I looked at a couple others as well while I was going through the process,
Hmm.
and I eliminated a couple of them to get to the one that I wanted.
So how long did it take you to be fully up and running as a consultant?
As a franchise consultant, I needed to go through and learn about consultative sales, how to do that. Being an engineer and a restaurant manager, I hadn't done too much in the way of sales. And so I learned a little bit of that with Scully Mitchell, but as a consultant, I learned a little more. It probably took me a couple months to go through and then learn enough different franchises, sit through their webinars that they had, give them a call on the phone, talk about what their service was all about. More specifically, who are they looking for in a successful franchisee? So that when I got on the phone with my people, then I hadn't been part of the consultant organization. They gave us a great list of questions to go through to ask people to find out those sort of things that we need so that we can do the matchup
Mm.
uh, based on their skill set with what the franchisor is also looking for.
And I'm just curious, when you're talking to both parties, are you just looking after a certain area of where the franchise wants to set up and you look for people that live in that area, or how does it work? Because franchises can be local as well as global. So do you operate both, or is it just within where you're living?
Both. I do the whole global thing on there. So when you get into a franchise, what most franchisors are looking for is that you're going to open up that local market.
Right.
So they may have, 100, 200 franchisees, but maybe they don't have anybody in your local market yet. So what I need to make certain then is, first of all, what we do is called a territory check to make certain that, number one, that territory that my people are in is available for them. So I can work with anybody anywhere. They just tell me where they're at. Then after I go through their questions and find out, okay, start thinking about what franchises will be a good franchise for them. Then I go back to the franchisor. Two things. One, is that territory available? And two, is that a viable territory?
Hold
Does
on.
it have enough of it?
Sorry
Hmm?
to interrupt, Greg. When you
All right.
say, is the territory available, what does that mean?
So that means, is there a franchisor, or excuse me, a franchisee already in that territory
Ah, okay.
that already has that? So I'll take a look at your zip code. So we'll take a look at my zip code, and usually within about a 30 to 60-mile radius is where we want to keep everybody. So it's local. So when I ask the franchisor, is that territory available? And they'll say yes, or they'll say no. Now, territory, you might wonder what does territory mean? So it'll depend on the franchise itself. But if we go into like the service industry, for instance, then we'd be looking at house like lawn service. what we want to be looking at is household incomes of about 100,000 or more. So people that have the disposable income to spend on it. And then we're going to be looking for 100,000 households that have that $100,000 or more disposable income. What size geographically of that territory is available and how close is it? Because they want local owners and operators. If it's a brick and mortar place, then your territory is usually going to be about a 2 to 3 mile radius around there because people won't necessarily drive further than that to get the kind of service that you're offering.
Hmm. But how does that work when you're looking at abroad? Because I can understand that all the information that you need is at your fingertips where you are, but if you're looking at a place abroad that may not have that information, how do you work that out?
The, the franchisors all have that information, or they'll go find out that information on
Okay,
there.
they do it. Okay.
Yeah, they have software that actually does that because then they're looking for certain household income, and then they're looking for uh, a certain number of households with that household income. So they'll have that software already planned out.
Okay. So how long have you been doing this job?
12 years.
Okay. And as you said, where we met you at the beginning, it's working out very well for you.
I love it. Yes, very well.
What, I'm living in the Middle East. So have you dealt with the Middle East?
No, I've taken a franchise over to Australia. I've taken somebody from Pakistan to up by Seattle, and I've taken a lady from forget where she's at. She was at in Germany, and I took her over to San Diego. So that's been my extent of back and forth overseas.
Okay. No, because I'm just wondering because when you look at the market here, it seems to be saturated by, you go to the malls and there's always kind of the same shops. There's the same services. There doesn't seem to be very much of a diverse kind of different types of shops and restaurants, et cetera, et cetera. And is it because businesses over here, because they are franchises, because they're all recognizable brands. Do businesses buy into a franchise? Is it generally businesses that buy into a franchise if they've got like a holding company and they've got various business underneath them? They could look at their portfolio and then basically say, okay, we're missing a fast food restaurant. Let's go and get a franchise for a fast food restaurant. Is that when they approach you to basically say, look, we're looking for a fast food restaurant, would they be interested in setting up here in the Middle East?
Occasionally, most of mine is done on an individual basis.
Okay.
Individual people are looking to do it. Uh, Companies will, on occasion, do that. Come to me uh, and want to buy. They usually buy a larger territory when they want to do that. They're looking to go into all of the Middle East or something, or put
Okay.
in many different locations. Most of the larger companies are not looking for one, two, or three units.
Hmm.
They want more of a larger geographical area. Individual people is what I normally deal with. Not always. I work with some of the bigger ones, and they're generally looking at from 1 to 5 territories, as opposed to the big businesses that are looking for a very large geographical location to open up multiple units.
Okay. What would your advice be if anyone's curious about investing in a franchise?
Look me up on franchisemaven.com and check out. Uh, but if you don't want to do that, you're not quite ready for that, then there's many books out there that you can get on franchising, or you can go to the International Franchise Association um, and look them up online and get information from there as well. Many different areas to look to look for as far as if you just want to start reading books and gathering information on franchising.
What about businesses who like entrepreneurs, small businesses that have set up their business? They're kind of unique and they think, we've done it in this market. Why don't we look at franchising what we've developed and see who would be interested? How do they go about that?
Well, if they're not a franchise yet, then the first thing to do is call me. I will hook you up with people that actually do turn businesses into franchise. And I've done that 3 times, 3 times now, 2 times, something like that. But I've turned help. I don't do the paperwork for that, but I have a couple groups of people that'll do that. That'll turn your business into a franchise. It's about $50,000 and a fair amount of paperwork, but they'll do all the paperwork for you and get you all set up.
15 or 50?
50, 50.
50. No,
Yeah.
because I see a lot, and especially where I live in Qatar, in Doha, is the fact that they're always pushing for entrepreneurs. They're always, if you've got an idea, we'll help you, you know, support you, we'll give you an office, etc., etc. And they use this country as a test bed to then launch themselves around the world. So I would have thought that that's an ideal situation where, well, if you want to go, launch yourself around the world, to have someone look into franchising your business rather than you do all the work.
Very true, Stefan. So yeah, a couple different ways for a business to grow. One is like you said, you build out your own locations wherever you want to build them, and you get all the income, but you spend all the money on doing it.
Yeah.
And if you want to go the franchise route, then you have your royalties, which are usually between 5 and 10%. So you don't get as much, but then you're not doing the investment either. And now you've got a local owner operator that knows the local area that'll build it out.
Yeah, I would have thought that's the advantage, is that you've got people that are willing to invest in your franchise, that know the local area, know the culture, the businesses around, for them to run with it, rather than you know nothing about it, may have to pay a lot of money to get the right advice. You don't know if you're getting the right advice, and then investing in a place, and you don't really know the market, and that takes time, that takes money, where you could literally offer it as a franchise.
Very true, Stefan. That is a great way for businesses to grow. It is especially when you've got the local owner operator in the area, because they already know a lot of people. They know the area quite well, uh, and then they have a vested interest
Yeah.
in helping it grow.
Well, thank you, Greg. This has been very informative. No, I'm just curious, because I was at a point where my business was doing very well, and I had someone knock on my door and said, "Look, why don't you franchise your business?" But then I didn't. I was still learning about running my own business, let alone then try and put all that information together to then let someone else know how we did the business. I don't know if you know it, but do they, as you said, there's a lot of paperwork. So with all this paperwork, they must go into the business and really make sure everything, there's procedures, there's policies, there's everything, the marketing, the sales, et cetera, has to be documented. So then you can pass that manual, that book of information, to the person that's buying in. That's what they're buying. They're buying all the trials and tribulations of what you've been through, worked it out, come out the other side, and then here's the playbook. Here's the playbook. This is what worked for us. Now, there you go. There's the relevant information. Now you run with it.
Exactly. And if you do decide to become a franchisor, now you've got a different role than you had when you ran the business, because you're no longer running operations. Now you're more of a mentor, teaching other people to do what you did. And you're absolutely right. They've already made the mistakes, so they know what not to do. And now they know what to do. And absolutely right about that, Stefan. That business in a box, you just follow that playbook step by step, your chances of success are that much greater.
But isn't that a lot of responsibility for an owner that has gone through the trials and tribulations of building a business, and then you get the expert coming in, documenting everything, and then passing it on to the franchisee, and then you act as a mentor as well as keeping your business going at the same time?
That sounds like a lot of work to me. I like doing my one little spot here with no employees and just being a consultant and let other people
Oh,
worry
no,
about
I
that
can
side
I
of it.
can understand that. Well,
Yeah.
that leads perfectly on to my last question is, okay, as you said, you're at that last stage of your journey. Where you going? Where is it just keep going until you can't go any further?
Keep going until I get bored again, and that's not happening anytime soon. I can tell you that. This is a good balance. It's what I have now. I have a good
Yeah.
balance of running my business, working my business. Probably 1% or less of the people that I put into business do like to do what I like to do, which is no employees, do it yourself, run it yourself. 99% of them are all about treating that business as an asset and just growing that asset, letting somebody else run it. But for me, I enjoy this nice balance being outside with all the critters, with all the gardens, and then helping other people become entrepreneurs. It's a really a good feeling when you put other people into the business and you can see, one spouse will run the business for a while, build it up, and then pretty soon the other spouse that's working on a job can leave the job and help build the business as well. I've had several people do that. It's a good feeling to watch them, create like what I created was do what you want when you want and have the money to do it.
Nice. If you could sit with that younger self of yours, that 16-year-old that just wanted to buy the car, what would your advice be now that you've been on this amazing journey? What would your advice be? Would it still be the same? Go and get that car?
No, stay at Taco Bell and buy a Taco Bell. Skip, skip the car, get on a bicycle, ride to it every day if you have to, but skip the car. It's too materialistic. Think long term and get the Taco Bell. I could have had a few more cars in the meantime. I would have bought the Taco Bell.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Greg. It's been an eye opener. It's been inspiring to hear your story. Thank you for allowing us to walk beside you on where you are, where you're going, and the journey that you've been on. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me, Stefan. It's an honor. Thank you.
All right. Well, you take care of yourself, and hopefully, I get to speak to you in the future.
I'll be right here. Anytime you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Absolutely. How can people find you?
You can go to my website, franchisemaven.com. That's franchise, MAV as in Victor, EN.com. Or email me at greg@franchisemaven.com. Or I am kind of old fashioned. So if you want to do it the old fashioned way, you can just pick up the phone and give me a call. 361-772-6401.
Wow, that is old fashioned. Actually, pick up
Yeah.
a phone and talk to you. Are you
Yeah.
crazy?
Yeah. Imagine that.
I know. It's incredible. It's so old fashioned. But I really appreciate it, Greg. And I love your honesty. And thank you for giving an insight into being a franchisor, franchisee, a consultant, and all the best for the future.
Thank you, Stefan.
All right. You take care. Bye bye. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.